Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Zach. Is it Herbst? How do you pronounce your last name?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
All right, because you never want to mess it up, on something that you're going to be, that thousands of people are going to be looking at, right?
Well, that actually makes it funny because when people try to pronounce it, when they get it right, I get so excited when they get it right on their first try. So I appreciate that.
And I always thought my name was pretty easy to, I thought Hegwood was a real easy thing to do, but it's not. And a lot of people like to add vowels and consonants and
the same edge.
Yeah, I just answer, so I'm like, it's okay. So, but we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about who needs to buy life insurance. And so, and I should probably just preface this, Zach, to say that you work for Texas Farm Bureau, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm a Texas Farm Bureau member, so I just want people to know I have life insurance through Texas Farm Bureau. So bought it long time ago. It's actually doing really well. And so anyway, we're going to talk about it so that other people can get some information from you as well. And so let's start with, who needs to buy life insurance? Why do you buy it? What's the purpose?
Well, the simplest answer is anyone that has loved ones that they want to, have a legacy left behind, want to make sure they don't suffer. So basically anyone from the age of 18 to 100 has some type of need somewhere, whether they're married or single or divorced or, they have kids or not, whether because they can leave it to, their family or charitable organizations, things like that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's kind of a sad story. And we bought life insurance the first time on our kids because somebody we knew had lost their child. And the first thought we had was, if something happens to one of our children, we don't have any money to bury them. So we were living on one paycheck, things like that. Bought a small policy from my Farm Bureau agent. Kudos to Ron out there. And years ago, mind you. And it was great because about every 5 years he'd say, do you want to up it for nothing? And I went, sure. So anyway, those policies over the last, I guess you could say 35 years have gone from 10,000 to 60, and I still pay the same amount of money. So kudos. Yeah. So let's talk about life insurance. We know there's lots of types. Tell our listeners what Farm Bureau does.
So there's two basic types of life insurance. There's whole and term, and the simplest explanation is whole is for when you pass away, because we're all going to meet our maker one day. Term is for if you pass away. So what our company, what we're trying to do is the biggest thing is actually talking to our clients and finding out the need. What do you need life insurance for? Are you settling debts? Are you taking care of your kids? Are you buying life insurance for your children while they're young and healthy and it's super duper duper cheap compared to a much older person that has health issues and things like that? So the biggest role that I have as an agent and all the agents for Farm Bureau is sitting down with our members and our customers and having a conversation. We're not going to walk into a meeting and say, this is what you need. You tell us what you want to accomplish, what your needs are. And then we, find the best fit based on budget and, health and age and things like that.
And so there's, you talked about whole life and term. Mm-hmm. And so can you tell our listeners briefly what the difference is, just so for those that may not know?
Yes, ma'am. So whole life is permanent life insurance. So whole life is going to pay out. Traditionally, it's your final expenses. It's leaving your legacy, things like that. It's more expensive. It's the one that builds a cash value. It's, truly you have it for your entire life. Term is for a temporary period, for a short period of time. So just to give you an example, I have 2 young children. My son is 8 and my daughter is 4 now. So if I passed away today and I didn't get home, my wife needs a lot more money to, keep raising my kids, pay the house off, pay for my daughter's wedding, pay for my kids' college. She needs a lot more money to do that. While if, nothing happens to me, hopefully, and I get to the age of 85, my whole life is going to take care of my final expenses, my funeral, things like that, give money to our church. So term is if I pass away, you've got a lot more debt, a lot more things to consider, and whole is for when you pass away. Term is a lot cheaper because you're renting it. You might not pass away, but whole is, we're all going to meet our maker one day. So that's why there's a difference.
So just so you know, Zach, we talk about whole life insurance to clients because of that cash value, it's protected from creditors. So it's like asset protected. You can take that money out to pay for long-term care if you need it, depending on how much is there. So whole life, it has some really good benefits, even though you're paying a little more money for it. And so,
right. And as you mentioned earlier, you bought whole life for your children at a young age. And, long-term care, especially, I've had a conversation with a couple that long-term care has changed drastically over the last 10, 15 years. And whole life can be used, that cash value, as long-term care. And if you pass away, when you pass away, all that money that's left over and all that life insurance, you're getting your next of kin, your beneficiaries can get all of that. While long-term care, you might use all of it, you might use none, and then all that money is just out in the world.
Definitely. So there's a lot of commercials out these days for life insurance, so everybody's after to sell a policy, so to speak. And life insurance has some really good purposes. So how do you know when you see those commercials? Because Farm Bureau is not a big commercial. We see some commercials, but they're not like, some of the other chains. So how do you know which is the right plan?
So that, just like with anything else, like, you go to your mechanic for your car and you say, hey, that's making a noise. What should I do? You go to your doctor, this hurts. What do I do? It's the same thing with an agent. You should go, hey, what should I do? And then hopefully, that agent's going to guide you in the best what's for you. So there are lots of commercials. And, about 4 years ago, I didn't have life insurance. The other agent in my office actually is the one that educated me about it, ended up doing it. I've never heard of our company, the same reason, because I didn't understand. So the biggest thing is reaching out to someone, either your insurance agent or someone that in your family that you trust, to say, hey, take me through this process. Because, our company, we write on a need basis. So we're only going to give you and suggest, hey, you should do this because this is what you told me that you needed. This is the best way to value, your budget a month, your monthly budget. This is how we should do it. It's having that conversation with someone who knows more than you. And we do it for everything else, our money, our cars, our health. The insurance should be the same way.
So we've made the decision to buy life insurance, right? Okay. So we've got there. How do we determine how much we need?
So there's lots of calculators out there. I really like doing the needs analysis. You can either search like Life Happens needs analysis, or Southern Farm Bureau, our life insurance company, has one as well. But it's if you just get a piece of paper out and said, if I pass away right now, how much is my funeral expenses going to cost? Harris County, it's about $35,000. Take care of maybe your hospital bills, the funeral home, if you have a plot, cremation, however you want, your final wishes. How big of a party do you want? That's what I always ask people. How big of a party? How many people are coming to celebrate your life? Do you have any debt? Do you have a mortgage, student debt, loan debt, things like that? Well, if I pass away, my debt doesn't transfer to my wife or my children, but they can come after assets that I have trying to leave to them before. So life insurance takes care of that. Do you want to pay for your children's college, or are they in daycare right now? How much does that cost? Do you want to pay for the wedding? Do you want to have future debt? Like, do you want to buy a new car? So it's just a simple math problem of like, if I pass away right now, how much money does my spouse need, or my mother need, or my siblings, my niece, my nephew, to take care of me, take care of my expenses, and basically not be a financial burden on them.
Definitely. And so when's the best time to get life insurance?
There's the old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So really, what I truly believe, everyone has their own situation. The best time is to get it when you're young and healthy. It's cheaper, it's more affordable. I'm a big advocate in buying whole life insurance for children because it's so much cheaper. And to me, you buy whole life for your children. They have a lot of that. And then when they're adults, they just buy term insurance, and then they buy whole life for their children. And it's a constant generational cycle. But the right time is anytime, especially if you're, as you go from 25 to 26, it's not that big of a difference. But as you hit your 40s and 50s and become more seasoned, as I like to say, life insurance gets a little more expensive as time goes on.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So Zach, if somebody wants to find you, how do they do that?
Well, the easiest way to find me is just to give me a call. My cell phone number is 713-898-9211. You call me, text me, send me emojis is what a lot of my clients do. But I also have an email, zherbst@txfb-ins.com, or you can just Google Zach Herbst insurance and I'll pop up and I'll be in a red, white, and blue suit. But my phone is the best way to reach me, because as a millennial, if I don't have my phone within 5 feet of me, of course, I can't breathe.
Okay, that's good to know. So, all right, Zach, thanks so much for being on the show and all the education we're getting for our clients today. And we look forward to having you on again soon.
All right, Kim, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.